Nokia.
The Nokia mobile phone is really all about accelerating.
CEO Steve Jobs unveiling what many are calling a revolutionary new product, the iPhone.
Two guys have passed us, and it's Apple and Samsung.
Nokia is facing challenging and very dynamic times. The game has changed from a battle of devices to a war of ecosystems.
Why do successful companies fail? Why do giants fall when everything seems perfect? The story of Nokia is not about technology alone. It's about human nature, fear of change, and the cost of success. And in many ways, it's a mirror of our own lives. Hello, I'm Saber Mashirian, and you are listening to episode 11 of the Failure Chronicles. As I promised in the very first episode, I decided to go after the stories of major businesses' failures. And in this episode, I want to start the series with a truly big name, a former giant, to be precise. I can confidently say that anyone born after the 1991 would know this business giant very well and probably has many memories connected to it. A giant that had a deep impact on our daily lives, that changes the way we lived, and that also played a major role in one of the biggest industrial and technological revolutions in human history. A company that many people recognized just by a short musical ringtone. A company known for the Snake game, the creator of the first truly mass-adopted mobile game in history, the maker of the first small mobile phone, the first touch-screen phone, the first form of mobile internet, or what we might now call the early Internet of Things, and many other unforgettable firsts. We want to see how this Finnish giant emerged from a paper mill, how it once took over the global mobile phone market, how everything suddenly changed, and it went to the edge of destruction more than once, and how today it is slowly finding new life again. The story of Nokia starts much earlier than most people think. In 1865, in the middle of the first industrial revolution, a Finnish mining engineer named Fredrik Idestam founded a wood pulp factory in Tampere in what is now Finland and was then part of the Russian Empire. 2 years later, he opened another factory near a town that would later give the company its name, Nokia, named after a region and a river in Finland. In 1871, Idestam and his friend Leo Mechelin turned the company into a public joint stock company called Nokia Water. Toward the end of the 19th century, Michelin had a new idea. He asked, why shouldn't Nokia enter electricity generation industry? At first, his partner disagreed, but eventually, in the early 20th century, Nokia turned on the lights and entered the electricity business. In the middle decades of the 20th century, things became much more complex. Nokia witnessed several major revolutions. 2 world wars occurred, both of which directly affected the company. After World War I, Nokia came close to bankruptcy and was acquired by another company. After World War II, it was required to supply rubber product to the Soviet Union. But Nokia, what I personally see as a symbol of resilience and transformation, survived and continued operation across different countries. Through mergers with other companies, such as Finnish Rubber Works and Finnish Cable Works, Nokia became a large multi-industrial group. In 1967, these 3 companies officially merged and the name became simply Nokia Corporation. At this point, Nokia was no longer just a paper company. It was producing car and bicycle tires, rubber boots, telecommunication cables, televisions, consumer electronics, personal computers, generators, capacitors, military equipment, plastics, aluminium, chemicals, and much more. In the 1980s, under the leadership of Kari Kairamo, Nokia expanded mainly by acquiring other companies. However, by the late 1980s and early 1990s, Nokia began to face serious financial problems. The television division was losing money. In 1988, Nokian Tires, the company's tire division, was separated into an independent company. In 1989, the paper division was sold. In 1990, Nokian Footwear also became a separate company. Throughout the rest of the 1990s, Nokia continued to sell off its remaining non-core businesses. In 1988, Kari Kairamo, the unfortunate CEO of Nokia, took his own life due to the company's difficult situation. After his tragic death, Simo Vuorileto was appointed chairman and CEO. Between 1990 and 1993, Finland experienced a deep economic recession. Vuorileto made major changes at Nokia. The communications division was restructured, and the television and personal computer businesses were sold. But Nokia's entry into telecommunications actually goes back to 1979. That year, Nokia took a major step by forming a joint venture with a Finnish TV manufacturer called Salora. The new company was called Mobira Oy. This collaboration led to the creation of the Nordic Mobile Telephone System, or NMT, the world's first cellular phone network, which launched in 1981. Nokia's first mobile phone, the Mobira Senator, arrived in 1982. It looked more like a briefcase than a pocket phone and was mainly used in cars. In 1984, the Mobira Talkman was introduced as one of the first portable phones. It was still quite large, but it was getting closer to what we now recognize as a mobile phone. The real turning point in this story came in 1987. Nokia released its first handheld mobile phone, the Mobira Cityman 900. This phone became a symbol of luxury and advanced technology. Mikhail Gorbachev, the leader of the Soviet Union at that time, owned one of these phones, and photos of him using it were widely published. That single image helped turn the Cityman 900 into a globally famous device. In the early 1990s, a new CEO stepped in, Jorma Ullila. He made one of the most important strategic decisions in Nokia's history: full and absolute focus on telecommunications, and a complex exit from other businesses such as rubber, cables, and unrelated manufacturing. This single decision changed Nokia's path forever. One by one, Nokia sold off all of its divisions, keeping only telecommunications. In 1991, the world's first GSM call was made using Nokia equipment. GSM became the foundation of modern mobile networks, the same family of networks that has evolved over time into today's 5G. Nokia played an active role in building and deploying this technology. The second generation, 2G, which is still in use in many places today, enabled clear voice calls, international roaming, and new services like SMS or text messaging system. By 2008, GSM 2G had nearly 3 billion users worldwide. There were at least 700 mobile service providers operating in 218 countries and territories. Every second, 15 new mobile connections were being made, and each day around 1.3 million new mobile connections were added. These numbers were staggering. Just 1 year later, in 1992, Nokia released the Nokia 1011, the world's first commercially available handheld GSM mobile phone. This was a turning point. Nokia was no longer experimenting. It was taking firm control of the market. During this period, Nokia released a long list of iconic phones. In 1994, the Nokia 2110 arrived, featuring the famous Nokia ringtone, one that is still triggering a deep sense of nostalgia for many people. In 1996, the Nokia 8110 was launched, the sliding phone that later appeared in the Matrix and became legendary. Another major innovation of this era was the Nokia Communicator series, first introduced in 1996. These devices were, in many ways, our first real experience with smartphones. They were multifunctional: phone, fax, email, and productivity tools, all in one device. Then came 1998, a truly historic moment. Nokia overtook Motorola, the American telecommunications giant, and became the largest mobile phone manufacturer in the world. At that point, Nokia had no serious rival. This dominance was reinforced in 1999 with the massive success of Nokia 2210, an affordable, durable phone that sold tens of millions of units worldwide. Nokia's key innovations during this era played a crucial role in its success. Features like T9 predictive text, interchangeable colorful covers that introduce personalization to mobile phones, and of course the legendary Snake game, which kept millions of people glued to their screens for hours. It is almost hard to believe how captivating that game was at that time, and how quickly that entire world changed in historical terms. Nokia's strategic focus on mobile phones throughout the 1990s truly paid off. The company entered a period of rapid and uncontested growth. Its ability to innovate and produce user-friendly, desirable devices was central to this success. Perhaps most importantly, Nokia recognized the potential of GSM technology very early, and that early insight became a decisive advantage. During this golden era, roughly 1990 to 2008, Nokia experienced extraordinary revenue growth. In 2008 alone, the company sold 450 million mobile phones. Sales soared, profitability followed, and investor confidence was extremely high. Nokia's stock price climbed, its market value reached historic peaks, and its financial figures were nothing short of remarkable. If we look at Nokia's best-selling phones, the numbers speak for themselves. Nokia 1110, 250 million units sold. Nokia 3210, 150 million units sold. Nokia 3310, 126 million units sold. Nokia 6600, 150 million units sold. Nokia was, without question, the undisputed king of the mobile phone market. To put this into perspective, if we compare Nokia at its peak with today's giants like Apple or Samsung, we see something striking. Neither Apple or Samsung has ever matched Nokia's dominance at its high. At its peak, Nokia controlled over 60% of the global mobile phone market. Its highest annual sales came in 2008 with 450 million devices sold. By comparison, Apple's best year was 2015 with 213 million iPhones, and Samsung's peak came in 2017 when it sold 310 million phones, the year the Galaxy S8 was released. But then came 2007, a turning point for the entire industry. Apple introduced the iPhone, a fully touchscreen smartphone with no physical keyboard and a smooth, entirely new operating system. Soon after, Android smartphones began to appear. The mobile market was no longer just about hardware. Software and ecosystems became the real battleground. Nokia's initial reaction to this shift was passive. The company continued to rely on its own operating system, Symbian. Very quickly, this proved to be a major strategic mistake. Nokia made attempts to develop alternative smart platforms such as Mi Go, but none achieved real success. The company fell into a vicious cycle. A weak operating system led to fewer users. Fewer users meant fewer developers. Fewer developers meant fewer apps. Users preferred Android and iOS, so developers moved away from Symbian. And because developers left, users had even fewer reasons to stay. It was a downward spiral, one that fed itself again and again. Then, in 2011, Nokia made another major strategic decision, one that would later be seen as fatal. Instead of accepting the weaknesses of its operating system and adopting Android, Nokia chose to partner with Microsoft, signing a strategic alliance and selecting Windows Phone as its primary smartphone operating system. At the time, this decision may have seemed reasonable. Microsoft was the largest software company in the world, and its CEO was one of the wealthiest and most successful entrepreneurs alive. Many of us, if we were in Nokia's position at that moment, might have trusted Microsoft too. But history showed that this partnership was, in reality, the final blow to Nokia's presence in the mobile phone market. Nokia's market share collapsed from its dreamlike peak in the late 2000s to a small fraction of the market by the mid-2010s. Finally, in 2014, Nokia sold its mobile phone division to Microsoft. It was a bitter ending for an empire that had once been untouchable. In July 2014, after failing to restore Nokia Mobile to competitiveness, Microsoft laid off 12,000 former Nokia employees, shut down all product lines outside of Windows Phone, and eventually discontinued Nokia mobile phones altogether. Nokia did later license its brand to an Asian company, which still produces phones under the Nokia name today. But despite those efforts, the legendary Nokia was never truly brought back to life. Nokia's problems inside Finland seem to have started becoming visible as early as 2003, but the rest of the world realized it much later. In April 2003, serious issues in Nokia's network equipment division led to major restructuring and large-scale layoffs. Thousands of employees lost their jobs. This was the first major workforce reduction after more than a decade of continuous growth, hiring, and factory expansion. Naturally, this caused a strong public backlash inside Finland, damaging Nokia's reputation at home. There were even reports of a controversial documentary aired on Finnish television, sharply criticizing Nokia, which further turned public opinion against the company. In June 2006, Jorma Ollila, Nokia's longtime CEO, after 15 years of extraordinary success leading one of the world's largest corporations, stepped down. It is likely that he already sensed the situation was no longer what it used to be. He left Nokia and became chairman of the board at Royal Dutch Shell, one of the world's largest oil companies. He was replaced by Olli-Pekka Kalasvuo as Nokia's new CEO. From the very beginning, his appointment was surrounded by controversy. Some critics even claimed that he actively worked toward selling Nokia to Microsoft, and after the sale, he himself went on to take a senior position within the American company. In March 2007, Nokia signed an agreement with the Cluj County Council in Romania to open a factory near the city of Joko, aiming to gain access to cheaper labor. By then, Nokia had clearly realized that its cost structure had become too heavy. The relocation of production from Germany to a lower wage country triggered widespread protests in Germany once again, leaving many workers unemployed. In 2008, Nokia stopped distributing mobile phones in Japan. In 2009, the cybersecurity company Check Point acquired Nokia's network security unit, another example of Nokia selling off parts of the company. In September 2011, Nokia laid off 3,500 employees and shut down the Cluj factory in Romania. In February 2012, the company announced plans to cut 4,000 more jobs as part of a strategy to move manufacturing from Europe and Mexico to Asia. In March 2012, another 1,000 employees were laid off from Salo factory in Finland. By June 2012, research centers in Ulm, Germany and Burnaby, Canada were closed. By the end of 2013, a total of 10,000 Nokia employees had lost their jobs. In January 2013, Nokia announced yet another round of layoffs, 1,000 more employees from its internet technology, manufacturing, and logistic divisions. Crisis followed crisis. Nokia's collapse was a complex phenomenon caused by a combination of many factors that I've already mentioned. But there is one more factor that cannot be ignored. Nokia had become comfortable with its success and showed little willingness to disrupt its previously profitable business model. In a way, the company assumed that the world would always remain the same. An article published in Harvard Business Review in 2011 pointed out that Nokia's core problem was not simply choosing the wrong operating system. Instead, it was what the author called success-induced inertia and an unwillingness to challenge an existing profitable business model. According to the article, Nokia was so deeply absorbed in its own success that it failed to fully grasp the transformative potential of new technologies such as touch-based user interfaces and rich software ecosystems. Similarly, in the book The Decline and Fall of Nokia by Martin Cooper, the author provides revealing details about Nokia's organizational culture during its peak years. Cooper argues that a fear of expressing dissenting opinions, and deeply entrenched bureaucratic structures prevented the free flow of information and innovation inside the company. According to him, many Nokia engineers understood the strong potential of rival operating systems from very early on, but their voices were drowned out by the noise of success. In addition to this, multiple reports published in Finnish media in the early 2010s highlighted internal power struggles and personal rivalries among senior executives as key factors weakening Nokia's ability to respond quickly to market changes. These reports painted a picture of a complex organization increasingly focused inward, distracted from real innovation and the actual needs of the market. And yet, after this massive failure and sudden, shocking collapse, Nokia did not surrender. Once again, the company began to rebuild itself. After selling its mobile phone division to Microsoft, Nokia made a fundamental strategic shift, refocusing on network infrastructure and telecommunication equipment, areas it truly understood and had long mastered. This was a company with more than 130 years of history at that point. A seasoned old institution that had lived through 2 world wars, survived the brutal tensions of the Cold War between East and West, and endured multiple global economic recessions. Even at the height of crisis, amid public humiliation, disappointment, and widespread distrust toward its leadership, Nokia managed to adapt once again. The depths of the crisis was evident. On June 18, 2012, the credit rating agency Moody's downgraded Nokia's credit rating to junk status. Shareholders filed multiple lawsuits against the company's management. To address its financial troubles, Nokia even sold its headquarters, Nokia House, for 170 million euros, only to lease the same building back forward. Despite all of this, Nokia's leadership made a critical decision to accept change, acknowledge failure, and start over. And that is exactly what they did. Today, Nokia's core business is focused on areas such as 5G, network infrastructure, and technology licensing. The company's current financial position shows that Nokia has once again become a major player in the global network infrastructure market, with a significant market share in this sector. In recent years, Nokia has experienced positive growth and meaningful transformation in its new strategic domain. In the end, the story of Nokia goes far beyond market share charts and strategic mistakes. It is full of human details and meaningful lessons. It mirrors our own lives, shaped by constant change, competition, hardship, failure, disappointment, and, of course, moments of success and good times as well. Thank you once again for staying with me through this episode. I hope you enjoyed listening to it. This was episode 11 of the Failure Chronicles. Until next time, take care, goodbye.